Ops call. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap these headers for the 5.0 Coyote. We got some lava wrap here. We're going to go ahead and start at the actual engine side, then go all the way down to the collector on each one. We've got some small spots where we'll probably just make it super thin. Those are just close points like to the steering area. The other one on the actually, I think this one was okay. It's on this side over here. One of these guys, yeah, this guy right here. That's close to the steering rack. This one, we ended up adjusting the motor. We don't have to worry about it anymore, so we'll just do a full wrap there. This is the only, I think we probably got a 1/4 of an inch here to the steel, so we'll probably just go real light there. But yeah, no big deal on it. So we're gonna go ahead and just time lapse, getting these things all wrapped, looking pretty, getting some steel clamps on there. And then we should be really good on any kind of heat soak inside of the engine bay, making sure the starter and all the electronics are protected from all this heat. We do have a coating on it, but it's definitely worth having that extra bit if you've got sensitive parts next to it, and we do with that starter. And just, you know, it's because it's a unconventional motor swap for these, we want to make sure that heat does not damage any of the parts. So let's go ahead and get these wrapped. We've got plenty of spare wrap materials, so we should be pretty. All right, guys, so it's been a few days. We finally got in the replacement oil pump and the new billet sprocket gear. So we ended up switching from MMR over to Boundary. They make some really sick products, and so we wanted to try out their billet oil pump for this one. So this is the Mustang version. Has the thicker oil pump gear in there than what we would have had on the normal F-150 in that first kit that we had. So we're gonna go ahead and throw on the oil pump once we get it primed. And once we do that, we'll throw on the sprocket, this billet sprocket here, and then completely redo everything we undid and get the timing chain, all that magic back on there. Once it's done, we'll go and check everything over, double check our seals. Then we need to go ahead, once the front of the engine's back on, we're gonna throw on that oil pan and our new pickup tube for the original Gen 2, Gen 3 oil pan that we will be using. So that is the plan right now. But first, let's go ahead and get this oil pump and the entire assembly back on. All right, guys, so off camera, we went ahead and just finished up the top of the motor here. So we've got both valve covers, left and right, back on there. We snuck back in the fuel pump, all really easy stuff. Mechanical fuel pump, we're just getting the torque set up on that for the line. The last thing we need to do here is throw on our new damper pulley. So we got a liquid damper from Super Damper, of course. ATI, and so we're going to go ahead and get this all assembled. We've got a brand new ARP crank bolt as well. Get that all installed onto the motor. So one interesting thing here is we're actually going to go from the 3 rib accessory to the 6 rib that would be run on the Mustangs. That's going to change a few things down the line. We'll get into that later, but at least for right now, for our NA mode, we're going to be running just the right side accessories, so the pump and the alternator, but the AC, we don't obviously need that right now for testing, so we're going to just go ahead and omit that. But we are going to move some things over, and that comes into play with our Whipple kit later, and a different AC unit that we're going to run. But otherwise, right now, we're going to go ahead and finish a few things up on the fuel and get this crank pulley in, and we'll just go ahead and time lapse that one as well. ATI, great company for damper pulleys, so we're really excited to get this one on there, and that will pretty much complete the upgrades, at least right now, for this 5.0 Coyote blown motor. All right, guys, we got the ATI damper all assembled. We're gonna go ahead and do now is get it cranked down onto the actual snout of the crankshaft. We're gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of RTV on the Woodruff key. That's just to make sure no oil seeps out because of this actual keying feature that's on the Coyotes. So once we get that RTV on, we got some just right stuff. We'll go ahead and throw a little bit of the torque fastener assembly lubricant onto our brand new ARP bolt. Right now, John's getting some fasteners for the back of the tail shaft right now that it's exposed, so that we can hold it to be able to torque this sucker down to 100 foot-pounds. Once it's all torqued down, everything is cured, greased up. It's essentially ready to go for this ATI damper pulley. And then we'll just be doing a few more things on the front here that we can. And then, yeah, I think we're gonna be pretty set to lift this guy up and get that oil pan installed for, hopefully, the final time. So let's go and get this damper pulley on. All right, guys, we got everything back onto the front that we need right now. We're gonna go ahead and throw a belt on, but we can't do that until we get the engine back in the car, so we can get the alternator, because it's the best spot, so that we can get the mounts on both sides. Same applies for the AC compressor, but we're gonna just hold off on that right now, since that's an after-fact accessory. So we're gonna do real quick before we do the oil pan, we're gonna go ahead and get all of the accessory lumen you kind of see spread out right here. That we had to take off. Actually, it's this guy right here. Get that back on for all the coil packs, everything like that. Ultimately, we want to try and get this motor running here pretty soon in the vehicle. So that is the plan, as well as everything where it kind of should be, so that we can get the coolant and a lot of the other fuel and oil lines all throughout the car. We're still waiting for some parts for the back of the motor here, but we will go ahead and get those in when we can. Not a big deal right now, but we want to go ahead right now is get everything in there, get that oil pan in, get the exhaust parts on either side, and we'll be pretty much ready to get the motor back in the car and should be one of the last times that we're gonna have to do that whole swap into it. So let's go ahead and get the wire loom in, and then we will get the exhaust headers and the oil pan. All right, guys, so we have the motor pretty much all together, with the exception of the oil pan right now, but we got the headers, we got the starter back on, again, everything up front and up top that we think we need right now to get it into the car for our, hopefully, one of few remaining times to get it back into the Bronco. But yeah, these are looking pretty sweet. The headers came out great. We got some great hardware bolting it in there. Right now we've got the stock gasket in there that came with these. We'll probably at a later time end up taking that out and putting in a better 3-stage stainless gasket, but for right now we think it'll be good in case we have to take it off for some reason. This side's looking really good. Got the mounts, got everything, all the sensors that we think we need over here. And then on the passenger side we have, again, this side header looking really good. And we've got the starter. We went ahead and made a little bit of aluminum heat shield just for some added protection against this header, which just gets real close. So that should help out well. Yeah, we'll probably do a few more things up here, maybe an O2 sensor on both sides, but that's pretty straightforward. Otherwise, what we're gonna go ahead and do now is lift this guy back up on the crane over the pallet, and we will be putting on the Power by the Hour Gen 3 to Gen 2 swap oil pan for good. And so we'll have to do a few things. We'll take the at least 2 main cap bolts off and put on some spacers, put on the girdle, get everything situated, some silicone a little bit on the front and rear timing cover. And yeah, that should allow us to throw the oil pan up, get all those bolts torqued, and we should be ready to throw this sucker into the engine again. So we're gonna go ahead and get that started and see how it turns out. All right, guys, so we got the oil pan all slapped onto the bottom of this beautiful looking 5.0. See a little bit better now. All those bolts torqued into sequence. Nice girdle. Really not too bad of an install at all for that. 2 main cap bolts off, a couple of studs, adapters, etc. Thrown onto that oil pickup tube. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. Now we got this thing fully cemented onto the bottom of this guy. A little bit better look. We got a new oil filter on, made sure everything was tightened up here on the sides, on the back. Yeah, we're kind of just going through it real quick, double checking everything, making sure that it's set and ready to go. We probably will at least take this motor out probably at least one more time just to double check things. But I don't know, we'll see how it works out. I know we want to try and put some mods onto the back of the motor here, but we'll still wait on some parts for that. But otherwise, now that we've got this in there, we're going to drop it, do a few more mods into the engine bay of the Bronco, double check everything there, and then we're going to be putting this guy in yet again.